What's going on YouTube? It's Ganimo. Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that may upset a lot of our colleagues, but we're just going to say it, throw it out there into the open. Healthcare professionals suck with money, and in particularly, doctors.
Amen to that.
So we're going to dive into it and tell you why they suck with money. A Medscape physician wealth and debt report in 2019 surveyed about 20,000 physicians in order to determine what their net worth was. Of those 20,000 physicians, 7% of them had a net worth of greater than $5 million. 44% of them had a net worth of about $1 to $5 million. And 50% of them had a net worth of less than $1 million. Now, all this training, all this hard work, the studying, the sacrifices, and we suck with money. Why is that? And we're going to tell you why.
So these very highly intellectual folks, other than this guy over here, very high income earners who are typically in the 1% of the US population, prove the point that being a high income earner does not equate to being wealthy. And why? That's because they spend their money, they don't save their money. And what is net worth after all? It's your assets minus your liabilities. So if you're spending that money on liabilities, that means that your wealth is going to be less because you don't have that many assets. So instead of driving that fancy car or that big house, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Try to save your money and invest it.
So what's working against us financially? Well, a lot of our friends, they start working about 22 to 25 years of age after undergrad or a master's, and they earn a pretty decent sized income. Well, for the healthcare professional, doctors even, you're talking about starting to work about 35 years of age after 4 years of undergrad, master's possibly, medical school, and then training. So we already start late to the game, about 10 to 15 years, some of us. On top of that, we even start in debt. So our net worth to start off with is already in the negatives for many of us. And that's a huge impact on how we manage money in the future.
On top of that late start to our careers, even the way that our mindset and brain is programmed works to our disadvantage financially. So we're very competitive by nature. We always want to be the best. So dating back to whenever you were in school, if your classmate had gotten a 96 on a test, you're trying to beat them. You're trying to get that 98 and you're trying to be first in your class. When you become an attending, you walk into the parking lot and you see that your attending colleague got a BMW 5 Series and you're going to try to go upgrade yours for a BMW 7 Series. When your colleague gets that $500,000 house, you're trying to get that lake house for $750,000.
With a boat.
There you go. You need that boat. Same thing goes when it comes to investing. Your colleague just invested in index funds and is getting a 7% return a year. You feel that you can do better. You go chasing that new stock and try to get 100% return where you can double your money in 30 days. That's not doable.
Remember, money that isn't saved cannot be invested. And as healthcare professionals, after all this sacrifice, we love to spend money and we forget about the savings. And we're no different. We like nice things, we like nice cars, we like nice watches, some of us more than others. But it's all in due time. So just remember that. It takes time.
So Gan is trying to be just like me too, just because he's so competitive. So the next thing he's going to do is shave his head. Coming up with excuses to justify your financial habits that will transcend and shape your futures hold no merit. Excuses like, I'm too young to start investing. I have no money right now. I'm going to wait till later to pay off that student loan. I need to start traveling because I'm only going to be young once. Well, your career is going to fly from under you. Then you're going to realize that you have no money, you haven't invested, and you're full of debt. So it's never too early to start investing. Even while you're in residency, you can start maxing out your Roth IRA, for instance, and that is going to give you a heads up on top of all your colleagues.
Look, the numbers don't lie. Say you're in surgical residency, which is 5 years, or you're in a residency and a fellowship that equates to 5 years. Well, during those 5 years, you're able to max out your Roth IRA, which is $6,000 a year. In those 5 years, that's a total investment of $30,000. When you're ready to pull that money out in 25 years, that's $415,000 tax-free in your pocket. So get started early. Start investing or saving at least 10% during residency and increase that amount to about 15 to 25% as an attending to get you ahead of the game. You know, we always hear that motto, I don't have time to worry about the future, I want to live in the moment, like Mo said. Well, remember when you started medical school or graduate school, how that time just flew by, and then residency started and it's over, then fellowship and gone. Key point here is your career is probably actually going to do the same in medicine. Before you know it, it's over and you're ready for retirement.
Most doctors and healthcare professionals earn an average of $250,000, but they spend as if they're earning $500,000. They don't remember that the dollar they're spending today is a dollar they won't have later on in their future. So instead, you should be saving as hard as you can, as much as you can, so you can enjoy that money later on in your life.
Look, that 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom lake house property with that infinity pool, yacht backed out front, and that new Mercedes S600, it can wait, we think. We don't think it's going to kill you to kind of hold off on that purchase. As highly intellectual healthcare providers and high income earners, we would suspect that to translate to appropriate money management and saving in the financial world. Well, that's not exactly the case here.
So we end up doing the very exact opposite. We try to take investment advice from our colleagues instead of trying to be very well educated in the markets or what we're investing in. We try to justify it to ourselves by saying we're too busy. So instead, we hire a financial advisor and we don't know what they're investing in. So what ends up happening? We end up selling our investments whenever they're low and buying when they're high, which is a recipe for disaster. We end up not making any money when we're investing, and very oftenly, our allocations to our investments is off. Sometimes we're too conservative or we're too risky, and we're not really matching our investments to the risk level that is appropriated for the results that we see.
Look, there are no shortcuts for financial wealth. Remember, a 5% return after inflation is great. Long term is key. And we always hear compound interest and how great it is, but it does us no good if we don't let that take into effect into our portfolio. If we're always changing it up, always chasing that next big stock that your friend told you about.
So happy investing, dear colleagues.
And let us know how you're managing your money in the comments below. Hopefully you're on the track to great wealth. And remember, always gingerly tap that like button. Don't forget to press subscribe and that bell. And we'll see you next time.